Sometimes it's assumed that in this day and age of so much information flow and so much technology that it's impossible to keep a secret. But we have our exceptions, and this one is a blockbuster of mammoth proportions in college football. The landscape has changed way beyond what anyone predicted. Reports confirmed in the last hour, Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma, going to USC. The USC coaching search has been going on now for a couple months, and Lincoln Riley has not been mentioned by any source that I've seen, but Lincoln Riley confirmed to USC. We got our guy Matt Zemek on the line. You got to check out his work on Trojans Wire. Matt is so kind to join us each and every Tuesday to break down what has been the USC coaching search, the Pac-12 landscape, and the nation. Matt, how you doing today?
I am blown away. And I wrote a few Bruce Feldman floated the rumor USC could take a swing at Lincoln Riley. That rumor floated very early Sunday afternoon, late morning in Los Angeles. I wrote a couple pieces just laughing at it because on its face, it's absurd. Because if you think about it, Mark, Oklahoma had been going into Southern California recruiting from USC's backyard, taking advantage of Clay Helton's weakness, failing to lock down the larger Southern California area for one recruit after another. Been writing about it, been covering it. My partners at Sooners Wire, also at the College Wire Network for Gannett, had been making note of it. Malachi Nelson, Gentry Williams, Lincoln Riley was going into Southern California, bringing guys to Oklahoma. And you also look at Oklahoma. I mean, obviously an elite job. Lincoln Riley is part of a lineage at Oklahoma. Great young coaches, Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer, Bob Stoops, then Riley, all hired when under 40 years of age, and all became rock star coaches. Lincoln Riley certainly on his way to having a Hall of Fame career, with everything that he's done at OU, coming in as Bob Stoops' offensive coordinator, and then, of course, as head coach. Joe Castiglione, one of the best ADs in the business. Like, you don't leave that job unless you go to like the Dallas Cowboys or a prime NFL franchise. You don't leave that job, unless you want to retire the way Bob Stoops did, drinking tequila and just having a grand old time. Leave that job for USC, where Saturday night, I don't know if you know this, but I wrote about it at Trojans Wire. President Carol Folt mistakenly tweeted that the season was over. USC has that makeup game against Cal next week. So she forgot about it, and she tweeted out, "Well, thanks for a great season. See you next year." And she didn't, she deleted the tweet. And so, oh wait, you're going to leave Oklahoma for that? And so, the idea of a Lincoln Riley to USC, especially after all the LSU rumors got shot down, and that was proved to be, smoke and mirrors. Like, okay, if Riley's not going to LSU, he's certainly not going to USC. Like, really? Who would believe it? So, hey, was I wrong to laugh at the Lincoln Riley rumor? Yeah, I was wrong. But I'm not. It's not something that I'm going to professionally regret. It's not something I'm going to apologize for, because no one had this. No one had this. It was quiet. It was under the radar. And the big plot twist, Mark, like here's like the real delicious plot twist here, is that, the sense was late Friday, early Saturday, that because Matt Campbell would not be coaching in the Big 12 championship game, he was available. He could do interviews. He would be lined up. Mike Bohn could talk to him directly. And so the plot twist is, well, Mike Bohn did go after a coach who's not in the Big 12 championship game. It just wasn't Matt Campbell. It was Lincoln Riley. Of course, with Dave Aranda and Baylor being in the Big 12 championship game, this brings up the question, if Oklahoma had beaten Oklahoma State last night to go to the Big 12 championship game, knocking Baylor out, would we be sitting here right now with Dave Aranda being the next head coach at USC? It certainly elicits the question. Now, maybe Mike Bohn had Lincoln Riley lined up all along. This was the unbelievable stealth operation. And obviously that's true. Like, that's the case regardless. But he wouldn't have been able to do this today if Oklahoma was in the Big 12 championship game. So it's just a magnificent plot twist. It's like the NCAA tournament. The surprises are coming. You just don't know which game. You don't know which 15-2 upset to expect. And that's what this was. Like, you knew that Mike Bohn was going after a Big 12 coach not in the title game. just wasn't Matt Campbell. I just find that fascinating. That's delicious.
It is fascinating. The situation that you just outlined is very plausible. All we have to do is to go back 14 years to a scenario that you know very well, that is probably the classic example where Les Miles wanted to go to Michigan. Michigan wanted Les Miles. Les Miles had a 2-loss team that backed into a national championship game, and he was tied up, and Michigan went elsewhere.
And goes to Rich Rodriguez, who, you know, was in the rumors to be the next coach at Alabama. And how different the last 15 years of college football history would be if Rich Rod, not Nick Saban, went to Alabama.